Hey everyone, welcome to the programme. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Eastham, and this week we have an uplifting show for you packed with life-transforming tips and art making a positive social impact. We're treated to a masterclass by famous motivational speaker and business strategist Tony Robbins, who says that he helps people the world over achieve exactly the same thing.
We all need the experience of being able to feel like our life is meaningful or significant. We all want love, we all want to grow, we all want to contribute. So what I find is, while cultures change, human needs don't change.
Plenty of advice and money-making hacks from Tony Robbins a little bit later in the show. But first, let's head over to Lebanon, where a once neglected, run-down neighborhood near Beirut has been transformed by some passionate painters. Leila Molana Allen has the story.
Flying into Beirut, arrivals land right next to a district you might once have missed. Ouzai, which sits on the Mediterranean just outside the capital, is a riot of colour. Brightly coloured buildings stand out against the sea and sky. This is Ouzville. But the area wasn't always this way. It was once one of Beirut's most dirty and destitute suburbs.
The area had no lights here, no paving on the roads. The garbage was never collected. The bin man never entered our neighborhood, and the garbage was everywhere on the road. The place had been abandoned by the citizens and the government.
Creator Ayad Nasser and his team saw that too many areas of their beloved home country had fallen into disrepair and crime since the end of the Civil War. So they decided to do something to bring pride and community back to these neighborhoods, beginning where he was born, Ouzai.
At first, the locals were afraid. The colors were very strong: red, green, yellow, pink. They didn't like it. They said we don't want it. At the beginning, nobody helped us. We did it alone.
But as the streets brightened with every lick of paint, more street artists, both foreign and local, wanted to get involved. Mural artist Marie-Jo Ayoub brings students to paint here from Beirut's elite Académie Libanaise de Beaux-Arts. It's a place they'd never usually visit and would once have feared.
This shows the success of the project, kind of erasing the whole idea that the Lebanese have about this area, which is a dangerous area, a place that you would not want to go. You see people painting, that's it. You want to come and have fun with them.
And it wasn't just professional artists. Every evening and weekend, crowds of local kids and teenagers would grab buckets of paint and brushes to help decorate the once dingy walls and buildings.
We brought blue paint and we began to paint the walls over there, and we drew, what's it called? Over there, the bottle and the fish. Ouzai before it was abandoned, and now it is renovated.
Since the project began, Ouzai has been transformed. And morale isn't the only thing that's received a boost. The economy is thriving, thanks to visitors wanting to come and see the art, enjoy the restaurants overlooking the beautiful sea views, and even participate in the project. The team believes their formula can work elsewhere.
Our objective now, when we finish in all areas of Lebanon, is to go to other places. We'll be happy to expand outside of Lebanon.
So far, murals and brightly coloured buildings have popped up in Tripoli, Beirut, Mounliban and Sour in the south. Next stop for these paintbrush-wielding community activists? The world.
Best-selling author, motivator and life coach Tony Robbins has helped the likes of Oprah Winfrey, President Clinton and the singer Usher in times of personal and professional crisis. The guru, who Accenture have called one of the top 50 business intellectuals in the world, has also recently been sharing his wisdom with people in the UAE.
Statuesque at 6'7", Tony Robbins' presence in the sphere of life coaching is equally imposing. With his best-selling books, including Unlimited Power and his life training programs, said to have reached around 50 million people worldwide in 4 decades. The 59-year-old is best known for his energy-packed, fist-pumping seminars, which have to date been attended by more than 4 million people looking to maximize their work potential or overhaul their personal lives. As an entrepreneur, Robbins chairs a holding company of 40 businesses, with combined annual sales exceeding $5 billion. But his current fame and fortune is a stark contrast to his early impoverished life, which saw his family often struggle for food. Robbins learned from the experience, becoming a philanthropist who, through his partnership with Feeding America, has now supplied more than 400 million meals to those in need. As he says himself, your past does not equal your future, and every problem is a gift, for without problems we would not grow. During a recent visit to the UAE, Robbins stepped away from his seminars to speak to Inspire.
Tony, a very warm welcome to Inspire Middle East.
Nice to meet you, Rebecca.
Lovely to meet you too.
Thank you for having us.
Let me start by asking you, how do people unleash their unlimited power?
When we talk about unlimited power, it's the power to take what you envision and make it real. This whole country in less than 50 years has come from a place where there was barely running water and some small buildings to one of the most prosperous nations on earth. That power, it was unleashed because they learned how to get themselves to have a vision, how to find something you want to serve bigger than yourself. And so I try to show people to figure out what is it that drives you, what is it that excites you, what will keep you going. It's not motivation. Motivation is like a warm bath. It's finding what really drives you. And once you know that, you have the energy to follow through and take the action and get the results.
You come to the Middle East often. When you do travel here, are the issues that clients are asking for your help on any different to elsewhere in the world?
When I go to Asia, for example, there's a real focus on the group. When you go to an American environment, it's about the individual. But there are certain human needs that are universal. We all want certainty that we can have a quality life. We all want variety. We want surprise. We all need the experience of being able to feel like our life is meaningful or significant. We all want love. We all want to grow. We all want to contribute. So what I find is, while cultures change, human needs don't change. And what I try to do is show people how to close the gap between where they are and where they want to be as quickly as possible.
What are some top tips? What can people do daily to maximize their potential?
Well, if you think about it, your mental emotional state controls everything. If you're in a lousy state, a low energy state, your mind doesn't function the same way as if you feel energized. But you don't wake up feeling that way all the time, because if you try to communicate to somebody and you don't really feel like it, you can't hide that. People feel it today. If you make a radical change the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you speak, it literally changes your biochemistry. And everyone has a set of triggers. So in my seminars, I have them find their natural triggers, because you already have them yourself. Well, you're the same person. The only difference is the state you're in. So learning how to turn that energy on physically, not just mentally, is what will give people the ability to perform at a higher level. Peak performance comes from being in a peak state.
You've famously advised presidents all over the world, some of them in very tricky situations. Share with us a story.
Well, I can remember when President Clinton called me, when he was president of the United States, and he called me and said, they're going to impeach me in the morning. What should I do? And my first response is, could you call me sooner? It's the morning. But I've had so many situations like that where I had to perform now. Serena Williams calling me after, her sister was killed and she had to get on the court. So I'm very often get the call when the child is suicidal or the adult. And, knock on wood, I've never lost one out of thousands. It comes down to understanding, how do you figure out what's stopping somebody from moving forward? And it's always fear, but also sometimes it's really a block they have, a mental block or a belief structure. And so I help them to make those changes.
I want you to talk to me about economic leapfrogging, because you've been at both ends of the wealth spectrum. Tell me how you came to this theory.
I believe that everyone's soul is equal, but we're not equal in the marketplace. So I believe the way to do that is self-education. Standard education will give you standard results. Self-education, where you find out what matters most and you get incredibly good at something, that's when you become more valuable. Someone can be worth 2 times, 4 times, 10 times, 1,000 times more per day, per hour, if they find a way to produce more value. It's all about, how do I do more for others than anybody else is doing? It's the golden rule of what people believe at many levels, but it's making that happen in life and in business and in your career.
And you spoke of fear, and people are fearful of investing in the stock markets, for example.
Yes.
They fear the bear market. But you say they shouldn't be fearful, right?
Well, I think fear is natural, but if you let your fear, most people lose money in the stock market, because I spent 5 years interviewing 50 of the smartest brains literally in the world. The Ray Dalios, the greatest hedge fund investor in history, you used to look at something like Warren Buffett. Out of those 50, what they all showed me was there are patterns in the market. If you're in it for the long term, here's what you need to know. In the US stock market, at least, Every year, on average, for 100 years, there's been a correction. A correction is a 10% change from the high or more. And every 5 years, there's been a bear market, meaning 20% or more. But 80% of those corrections never become a bear market. You know, December, we just had the worst stock market in the US in years, in decades, and then in January is the best January we've ever had. But if you were out of the market because you're trying to time it, because you thought it's better or it's worse, the goal is to stay in the market and become an owner through time, not to try to make money trading, unless that's your real career.
You continue to inspire people all over the world with your teachings, but tell me, who inspires you?
My wife. She inspires me without question. And then I have some really beautiful mentors. A man named Peter Guber is a dear friend of mine, Mark Benioff of Salesforce. We're going to change the world. We're going to do $100 million in business this year. I think they're going to do $14 billion. So watching those people grow has inspired me, but also Mark, like myself, is a philanthropist, and he understands that the secret of living is giving. It's not when you die, it's while you're here, what are you going to do? And to me, that's what makes life more meaningful.
Tony, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for speaking to me today. Thank you. Well, that is a wrap of our show. We hope that you enjoyed it. And don't forget, you can catch all of our episodes online at euronews.com. Before I leave you, here are some social media posts that caught the attention of the team this week.
Who Made from the UAE welcomes Tony Robbins to the UAE with a painting he did himself in appreciation for his enlightening advice. Nora posted this picture of her at Ousville, saying that the project brought a spark of life to the neighbourhood. And Maria celebrated being a part of the Ousville project with this upload, adding that the artworks inspired joy in the residents.